Hey guys, another round of the Recruiting Corner coming at you. Joshua Zimmerman, David Frank. How's it going, David?
Going really well.
Fantastic.
Lots of great news coming this week. We're covering all sorts of stories. We'll let you know what's the chance your volleyball coach is going to quit when you're still in school. We'll be talking about what coaches need to see in order to answer your emails. We'll cover what schools do, how schools allow different athletes to use social media, what happens if you get injured, and some really cool interest stories about disabled athletes going on to the college level.
Lots and lots to cover today, guys, so definitely stay tuned.
All right, we'll start right with it. RichKern.com, this guy is the volleyball stats guru. He covers everything about college volleyball, has some great statistics. Just released a blog a couple of days ago, and some really interesting information. It says that there's a 60% chance that after 4 years, a college coach is going to transfer schools. And so what's the take-home message for a volleyball recruit?
You know, the interesting part here is that it is volleyball, and volleyball really isn't covered too much in national, college news like football and basketball coaching changes and such, but coaching changes happen. And the interesting part to me is that as a recruit, you need to look beyond the coaching staff for why you're choosing that school, because of the fact, as David just informed us, after 4 years or during that fourth year, there's a 60% chance that your coach at that point might not be your coach. And then I believe another statistic in that was at 5 years, there's a 75% chance that the coach won't be that coach. So if you're an early commit, let's say you committed really, really early, then all of a sudden, guess what? That coach that you committed to isn't that coach anymore, and that commitment might or might not be there for the new coach. So really interesting things. Pick schools for education, pick schools for location, look beyond the coaching staff.
Yeah, very, very good points. All right, coming from CoachThurman.com. So Coach Thurman is the University of Washington men's golf coach, runs a blog where he answers questions for recruits. And a really great one caught my attention this week. Wanted to share it with you guys. Somebody asked him, they said, how can you tell if a coach is interested in you? And Josh, what was his response, and what should they know?
You know, I really agree with the way that he put it, and that's pretty much, if a coach is interested in you, you're probably going to know. Now, I agree with that mostly, but I do believe that the athletes have a responsibility to go beyond possibly one email. And a lot of people just think, send the stuff out and the coaches are going to come crawling back. Unfortunately, you need to have a persistence to you. You need to understand that what you're sending them is quality information, and take the time to get to know that coach. Take the time to build a relationship. Don't just send an email saying, hi, my name's Joe Recruit, I want a scholarship. The coaches are very aware of why you're emailing them. Instead, take a little bit of time, do some research on the coach, do some research on the school, do some research on the programs. Be able to tell the coach why you're interested in their program, why you're interested in their school. Or do you like their academics? All sorts of different things to try and gain their attention beyond, hey, I want a scholarship.
Yeah, great points. And if you haven't checked it out, CoachThurman.com is a great blog. Whether you're playing golf or not, he answers questions for recruits of all sports, and I'd definitely check it out. All right, news coming from ESPN. LSU player was given a 6th year of eligibility. If you don't know, the rules are you get 5 years to compete 4 years. So how did he end up with 6?
Well, in his case, and what you see usually about 1 or 2 players a year, is a medical redshirt. He was injured his senior season, was not able to play his senior year. So he submitted his information to the NCAA for review, which is exactly how you get a 6th year. It's not a guarantee. If you get injured, it has to go under review, and many athletes are denied. But he submitted it for review and actually was able to earn a 6th year so he can come back and finish his career out on the field, which is nice, but don't count on that 6th year.
No. Count on 5, play 4. All right, news coming from businessofcollegesports.com. So we talk a lot about social media, what's going on, schools getting in trouble, recruits having issues when they commit. They did a cool little study. They asked over 10 D1 programs about their social media policies, and some interesting ideas coming out of there. What did you see?
So what I found interesting about this was, number one, North Carolina was one of the programs, and we featured North Carolina, I believe, on the last episode just quickly about how they were actually banned, or they actually had NCAA sanctions against them for failure to monitor social media. They actually don't have a policy against social media at this point. When Butch Davis was the head coach, which he's now not, he did ban football players from using it, or using social media. Now they've reinstituted the fact that they can. They are monitoring it, but they haven't banned it completely. Another interesting point was that almost every D1 department that they sort of polled actually didn't ban social media, but some sports did. So although the overall institution didn't say you couldn't use social media, individual sports says you weren't allowed. And one of the things was Boise State. Their football players are not allowed to use Twitter whatsoever. So Chris Peterson says absolutely not on that. While they can have Facebook accounts, but they have to be set to private, and all of that is monitored. So some pretty interesting stuff. Check out the article if you want to learn more about the different polls.
Yeah, and the take home there is that's the way it's going to be. Each team's going to have their own policy. So if you're interested, if you want to have Twitter, if you want to have Facebook, if you want to use social media as a college athlete, you're going to have to talk to your coach about that in the recruiting process. Make sure you know what to expect going forward. All right, so Facebook question of the week coming from Emmanuel wants to know, what happens if I get injured? Will I lose my scholarship? And this ties in to some stories coming from Alabama about some not so nice recruiting practices. So why don't you give us a rundown?
So basically, Manuel, with the way scholarships are set up right now, granted, again, we covered it a few episodes ago, they have brought in multi-year scholarships, but don't count on getting one of those. For the most part, most athletes sign one-year scholarships, which means if you get injured and it's a career-threatening injury, you could lose your scholarship. Now, if you hurt your ankle, you need to be out a couple weeks, they're not going to pull your scholarship there. If you blow your knee and you can never play again, there's an opportunity. With Alabama, what's interesting is Alabama's right now in the hot seat for pulling scholarships on athletes who got hurt in high school. Pulling not only hurt in high school, but they were commits to University of Alabama for over a year. Unfortunately, when it came to signing day, Alabama recruited better athletes than what these athletes were and pulled their scholarships. And now these athletes had to sign with other programs and are pretty upset about the fact that they thought they were going to Alabama. All of a sudden, they committed to Alabama. They were going to sign with Alabama on signing day, and Nick Saban said, sorry, guys, we found better athletes. Your scholarships are no longer good. They were offered gray shirt opportunities instead.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I like to see when reporters are reporting about that story is that's a really common practice, especially at D1 football. So it's not necessarily that Alabama is the only program pulling scholarships from guys who get injured their senior year. That happens a lot, and it's an unfortunate aspect of recruiting at that top level. Yeah, I mean, you just got to be aware. If you're going to be a D1 football player and you get injured, you've got to understand it's business, man.
It is.
It's not. It's business. There's millions of dollars at stake, and that's why they lost their scholarship offers, because they couldn't come in to the program right away.
I mean, think about, you guys, just a quick point here. Think about the fact what David just said. It is a business, and although kids' feelings are hurt, it's a business. Now, if in the real world, if I was going out for a job and my bosses found a better qualified candidate and I lost a job opportunity to that better qualified candidate, I can be angry about the fact I lost out on a job, but they were doing what was right by their company by hiring the better qualified candidate. So football works the same way. Saban went after better athletes, and unfortunately someone had to lose.
Yep. So on the topic of football, I want to give a shout out to our own blog for a change. We just released 2 awesome infographics this week where we broke down the average size of college football players on offense and defense, and we separated out by position and division level. So for our recruits, you can go on there, you can check it out. You say, all right, I want to play running back. I'm this big, and I want to check out how big are they at the college level, at D1, at D2, at NAIA. So shout out to ourselves for a change. Get on there, check it out, and let us know what you think.
Hey, David, according to the statistics, I'm 6'1", 190 pounds. Can I play offensive tackle for LSU?
You might be able to play safety. All right, Josh wanted to give a shout out to Tyler Sharp. So why don't you tell them what that's all about?
So basically, I came across a story. As a human interest piece, I thought it was really interesting. Tyler Sharp is a swimmer out of the state of Washington. He's actually 4 seconds off of being a state qualifier for the first time in his first year of swimming in high school. He also is disabled. He has one arm cut off just below his elbow. So pretty interesting. That story reminded me of another story in Anthony Robles, which is now the NCAA wrestling champion for ASU. And what really was interesting about that is just how these disabled athletes can actually make a run at college sports. Anthony Robles was not recruited out of high school, although he was 2 years undefeated as an athlete, which means he was extremely, extremely good and still had to walk on at ASU. So pretty interesting. I like seeing it when those athletes are able to overcome their disability and really compete.
Yeah, right on. That's a cool story for Tyler Sharp. Definitely hope he makes it to the state championship this year. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Another sunny day on the West Coast for the weekend. And what are you doing?
Dude, we've had beautiful weather. There are a ton of professional golfers and celebrities in town, and I am going to the Pebble Beach Pro-Am.
That's where I'll be. Be watching Tiger Woods, Tony Romo teed up at Pebble Beach. So can't ask for much better to do on a weekend than that.
All right, guys, we're going to go enjoy our golf weekend. You guys have fun. Any questions you ever have, at JZimmy67, at David R. Frank. You guys know the company. Tag at Athnet. Appreciate it. Have a great one.
Thanks. Bye.